The University of Lethbridge has a long history of research benefiting agriculture. That research has created opportunities and added countless dollars to the local economy through innovation. Farming in our region has become more productive and profitable. And this past July, the University of Lethbridge welcomed Dr. Dena McMartin to the position of Vice President of Research. Dr. McMartin joins us today via Zoom. Welcome to the show, Dena. So great to have you on today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So it's been just amazing to see the research coming out of the University of Lethbridge. I know I've had the opportunity to speak with a lot of researchers there, and it's just really such a productive place. It's so cool. So your area of focus has been on water, right? So let's maybe talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm a environmental and agricultural engineer. And so I've spent my academic career working with water resources, water treatment, and a lot of impacts for and with agricultural producers. So, really looking at how we can improve water use and crop efficiency, animal behavior, and activities on the land to make the best use of water, which, of course, as we know in the prairies, and particularly in the southern prairies, water is sometimes scarce, and we are really very aware of how precious and important a resource it is for livelihoods and for economic development and jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes without saying that clean water and water management is vital for healthy communities and for our local agricultural industry as well. So, what kinds of water research specifically is going on at the University of Lethbridge?
Well, there's so much neat water research taking place here. We've signed agreements with various provincial agencies and a lot of our industry and business partners, looking at the efficiency of irrigated crops, reviewing and evaluating different irrigation designs, including the canal systems, which, as we know, as temperatures get warmer, we have a lot more evaporation coming off of those canals. Um, Working even with some of our local producers and processors around water management and wastewater activities, and really we're learning as well from and with those producers and processors. And I think that's what's just so special about this region is the openness and excitement about partnering and collaborating and really working together on water, whether it's for animal health or ecosystem health, or for agricultural production.
Yeah. And, Dina, what compelled you to focus specifically on water?
Well, it goes way back to when I was growing up in a small town in Saskatchewan. And I actually grew up in a community right beside the resort village of Manitou Beach. And Manitou Lake has some of the most dense water in the world and is an extremely culturally important location, not only for Indigenous people, but for, it became this wild place in the 1920s with people coming from New York and Chicago to sort of make it their summer playground. And the water there is unique, it's fascinating. And for me growing up in that kind of environment, it really taught me that not only is the chemistry and the quality of water super important, but there's such an important cultural and community connection to water and about water. We all like to be out, near water for our holidays. We like to
True.
go somewhere, whether it's camping or to a beach, to be around water. And so there's something compelling in our humanity. And so just growing up that way, I really learned very quickly the importance of water to eons of people and cultures and traditions.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that you say that, Dina, too, because it's true. When you look at towns and cities where they've developed, most of them are close to rivers and other waterways. So it's a really good point that you brought up. And also, we're so fortunate to have a world-class irrigation system here in Southern Alberta. So how has the water research of the past in our region formed a basis for the research that we see today at the U of L?
So we are so lucky. We have about 70% of Canada's irrigated agriculture in southern Alberta. And so this really is an extraordinarily productive and important agri-food corridor and region for the country and for the world. And, irrigation began here in the 19th century with early surveyors coming out and putting in the first canals and lines to convey water to cropland and to communities where there were years without enough water to keep people and their livestock going well. Um, but I think that long-standing tradition of sharing water across the American border and looking at droughts today is really impacting the kind of research we do. There's so much research at the University of Lethbridge around transboundary and international relationships and collaboration, whether that's economic or political or human and resource. There's a lot happening with the irrigation in terms of, again, the crops themselves and the kind of pollinators that we need to keep those crops going and healthy. And then just all of the innovation in the types of crops we're able to grow here, working with producers and processors to build an economic ecosystem and a business area that is just so phenomenal, so active, and so productive.
Now, are there any limitations to expanding the irrigation system in southern Alberta, such as expanding it to the southeastern part of the province?
That's a really good question. I've actually recently started on a new study board with the International Joint Commission for Transboundary Waters, and we're looking at the St. Mary and Milk Rivers in particular, and the apportionment agreements between not only the US and Canada, but also across the prairie provinces. And I think some of the new activities and projects that we've seen announced by the provincial government to really improve pipeline distribution, particularly from the Chin Reservoir in that area, will help us retain more water so that we can expand and extend irrigation. And of course, the multi-billion-dollar project that was announced for southwestern Saskatchewan, which would connect into our southeastern Alberta regions, all of that is on the books and planned. And I would simply just say that it just means that we have to be that much more strategic and scientific about how we measure and monitor water use in our current regions and the expanded regions.
Interesting. Now, I know there's a lot of people here in southern Alberta that are concerned of the potential of selenium in the Old Man River as a result of coal mining in the Rockies. So, should we be concerned about this?
It's a really good question. I think, you know, short answer would be, yeah, we should be aware that selenium contamination could be a challenge as a result of coal mining. The soil, the ground, the rock that is being taken out is high concentration selenium. There are technologies and treatment methods for removing selenium. To my knowledge, they haven't been fully employed in past, and so I think there's a little bit of concern that we don't really fully understand the technology. And because water is such a precious resource here, and because so much of our economy, both directly and indirectly, and our livelihoods, the traditions of being on the land, with animals and plants is so strong here. I think it's fair that people are concerned and asking good questions about whether or not there might be selenium and what impacts it could have if the concentrations become too high.
Because I've also heard like the opposite argument that we need a little bit of selenium, and I don't know how true that is. You might know more than me.
Yeah, selenium is an essential micronutrient. I mean, if you look at your own vitamin bottle that maybe you take, a multivitamin every day, there will be selenium in that. But like so many things, moderation is the key. And so we want to make sure that we keep that in micronutrient level, not a significant concentration.
Okay, excellent. Great to know. Thank you for that. Now, during the recent municipal election, Calgarians voted yes to adding fluoride back into their water. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm a strong proponent. I'm a big supporter of that. I think in large part, the majority of the dental community has really spoken out in favor of it, particularly for young children for whom dental health is often a struggle and a challenge, and particularly for vulnerable populations where perhaps visits to the dentist and other fluoride treatments just aren't as possible or as regular and routine um, as other segments of the population. And we know that, again, everything in moderation. In the doses that we're seeing within drinking water, the levels are safe for human health.
Are you able to talk a little bit about the need for STEM program development at the U of L?
I think in any region, having diverse job options is extremely important, and STEM jobs are considered quite often to be economic drivers around innovation and new job development. I think the creativity we see from the graduates, at the University of Lethbridge, contributing to community and new business, new activities, I think is really important. And I would be excited to see additional STEM opportunities for students in Lethbridge. I think what we're doing is extraordinarily good and very high quality. Um, there's always opportunity for us to look at what more and different we can do in response to changes in the local economy, local environment, and global trends in terms of what's out there. And if I think about some of my own graduate students and some of what they're doing, it's looking at community resilience to changes in climate, looking at how we've seen the floods in BC, and lots of conversation about, well, the infrastructure was aging, and the designs we currently are building are based on old data. And so one of my students has actually been creating a new cell phone app to work with small municipalities and communities to help them make decisions using real-time climate data, so that we're building better infrastructure to withstand flood and drought, wildfire, and other kinds of events. And so those kinds of STEM jobs, and I think STEM innovation, is so exciting and so important for our future community design. And whether that's having a better understanding of the kind of plants and animals we have by doing good terrestrial and spatial imaging, taking fancy photos from satellites, or it's understanding the importance of bees for our food supply. I think STEM jobs are extremely important, and there's such great potential for employment in this area. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, isn't it? So, where do you see the future of research at the University of Lethbridge going? I mean, it's pretty amazing what they're doing these days. Where do you see that going?
It is yeah, I mean, the research here is just it's inspiring, and I will say, and I know a lot of people say this, but the University of Lethbridge to me really punches above its weight. We're a smaller institution, but the impact we have is really big. And so the areas where I see us continuing to grow and expand our research are in sustainable agri-food. So looking at environmental innovation, looking at closer connections with Indigenous communities and traditional knowledge, to understand the land and the resources where we are. So I think, agriculture obviously is one huge area for opportunity. I think too, healthy aging and holistic wellness are extraordinarily important and increasingly challenging in rural regions and smaller communities where, we know it's difficult to find a doctor in the Lethbridge area right now. But I would say our rural nursing program and a lot of the health research that we're doing around dementia and Alzheimer's, addictions and counseling are some of the best in the country, if not in the world. And so these are areas where I think we need to continue focusing and growing and really supporting Southern Alberta and the vitality here.
Amazing. Dr. Dena McMartin, thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise with us. We really appreciated having you on today.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful to be with you.
Great. Dr. Dena McMartin is the Vice President of Research at the University of Lethbridge. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks for watching.